In the 2025 season, the Golden State Warriors find themselves in a phase of transition. After years of dominance in the NBA, the team is looking to reinvent itself to stay competitive. The departure of Klay Thompson to the Dallas Mavericks and the failed attempt to bring Kevin Durant back highlight the need for significant changes in the roster. As the trade window approaches, General Manager Mike Dunleavy Jr. makes a bold decision to acquire Jimmy Butler from the Miami Heat. Known for his defensive intensity and leadership, Butler is seen as the piece that can revitalize the team alongside Stephen Curry and Draymond Green. The trade involves multiple teams and players, but the focus is on ensuring Butler joins the Warriors for one final title run. Butler's arrival brings a new dynamic to the team. During the regular season, the Warriors perform solidly, with Butler contributing significantly in both defense and offense. His presence elevates the team's level of competitiveness, and they finish the season with a positive record. In the playoffs, Butler's importance becomes even more evident. With Curry dealing with a hamstring injury, Butler takes over the leadership role, guiding the team through tough games. His performance is particularly notable in the series against the Minnesota Timberwolves, where he scores 33 points in a crucial win. Despite the on-court success, the Warriors face financial challenges. The acquisition of Butler and the attempt to maintain a competitive roster pushed the team to the brink of the salary cap. With significant contracts on the roster, such as those of Andrew Wiggins and Draymond Green, the flexibility for future moves is limited. This situation complicates the team's plans to acquire another star, like Giannis Antetokounmpo. Although the interest in Giannis has been long-standing, the financial reality makes the trade nearly impossible at the moment. The only way to pull off this trade would be through a significant restructuring of the roster, something the Warriors are reluctant to do. Giannis Antetokounmpo, star of the Milwaukee Bucks, expresses frustration with the direction of his team after an early playoff exit. He mentions the possibility of seeking new challenges if the Bucks are no longer competing for championships. The Warriors, aware of this situation, explore the possibility of acquiring Giannis. However, the trade is complex. In addition to the financial limitations, the Bucks would demand a significant package in return, including young talents like Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody, along with multiple draft picks. As negotiations stall, speculation continues. Giannis attends an event in San Francisco during the All-Star weekend, fueling rumors about his interest in joining the Warriors. However, no concrete information arises, and the situation remains uncertain. As the offseason approaches, the Warriors face tough decisions. Should they maintain the current core and seek small improvements or make drastic changes to acquire a new star? The answer to this question will determine the franchise's future. Other teams also express interest in Giannis. Teams like the San Antonio Spurs and Houston Rockets have valuable assets and could offer more attractive packages to the Bucks. This puts the Warriors in a challenging position, where they need to compete not only financially but also in terms of attractiveness to the player. Additionally, the aging of their star players raises questions about the viability of a long-term investment. With Curry, Butler, and Green all in their 30s, the window for winning another title is limited. In light of all these considerations, the Warriors decide to keep the current roster and seek specific reinforcements. The hope is that, with a healthy and cohesive team, they can compete at a high level in the upcoming season. Meanwhile, Giannis remains in Milwaukee, but doubts about his future persist. The next season will be crucial in determining whether he stays with the Bucks or seeks new horizons. The Warriors' journey in 2025 is marked by bold decisions, financial challenges, and a constant quest for excellence. The acquisition of Jimmy Butler represents a significant effort to maintain competitiveness, but also highlights the limitations faced by the team. The interest in Giannis Antetokounmpo shows the franchise's ambition, but also underscores the difficulties of making major moves in the current NBA landscape. The future of the Warriors will depend on their ability to balance talent, finances, and strategy. The legacy of the Golden State Warriors is not just a statistic in the NBA's record books. It is a symbol of reinvention, a philosophy that blends technical skill and tactical intelligence. Since the beginning of the Steph Curry era, the franchise has adopted an identity that has shaped the league. However, over time, Every dynasty faces its turning point. In 2025, that moment seems to have arrived. With the addition of Jimmy Butler, the team refuses to accept decline without a fight. What was once a game based on long-range shooting now takes on a new layer of defensive intensity and physical play. Butler brings a confrontational stance, a presence that challenges opponents with every possession. Still, even with this new DNA taking shape, there is a palpable sense of urgency. Stephen Curry, although still brilliant, grapples with the weight of time. His performances remain spectacular, but his minutes are carefully managed. With every game, the question arises, how much longer can he sustain this level? This reality makes the dream of adding a dominant force like Giannis next to Steph even more enticing. It would not only be a way to secure another title, but also to extend the franchise's successful cycle. Imagining Giannis Antetokounmpo wearing the blue and gold jersey sparks the imagination of fans. The idea of a combination of his physical strength and Curry's technical genius seems straight out of a movie script. But behind the scenes, the NBA's backstage world is cold and meticulously calculated. For this union to be possible, the Warriors would have to give up much of their roster. Jimmy Butler, recently acquired, would be the main obstacle. His long-term contract takes up a significant portion of the salary cap, and his presence is incompatible with the arrival of another star of Giannis's caliber without major sacrifices. Still, the franchise made some calls, trying to gauge the Bucks' interest, even if informally. What returned, however, was a harsh reality. Other teams were much better positioned for a potential trade. Teams with valuable draft picks, emerging young talent, and greater salary cap space could offer far more attractive packages. Meanwhile, in Milwaukee, the situation was deteriorating. The Bucks, once considered perennial title contenders, were now facing an uncomfortable reality. With an early elimination to the Indiana Pacers, the criticisms grew. The lack of a consistent rotation, the over-reliance on Giannis, and the absence of a fluid offensive system made it clear that something needed to change. Giannis, in his public statements, began showing signs of weariness. In interviews, he made it clear that he was not interested in being just a stats player. He wanted to compete, he wanted to be challenged, he wanted to win. His speech began to sound like a subtle warning, a preparation for something greater. Some players make the mistake of staying in one place for too long. Sometimes that happens because we're afraid of the new, afraid of stepping out of our comfort zone. But if a team stops fighting for titles, maybe it's time to rethink everything, Giannis said after the last elimination. In the corridors of the league, where executives exchange information more frequently than many realize, rumors started to intensify. Agents spoke behind the scenes. Businessmen were gauging interest, and investigative reporters kept a keen eye on any atypical movements. During the All-Star weekend, Giannis was seen in San Francisco for a sponsored event. Although officially there for promotional commitments, his presence rekindled conspiracy theories among fans and analysts. Was he exploring his future home? At the same time, the Warriors' front office remained cautious. After years of success and with a loyal fan base, the franchise understood that every decision impacted not only what happened on the court, but also off it. The team's image, its identity, its culture, all of this would need to be preserved even amid market moves. Jimmy Butler, aware of the speculation, chose silence. His behavior in the locker room, however, was exemplary. He became a mentor to the younger players, demanding in training, vocal in games. He felt valued for being chosen to be part of something bigger, and his commitment reflected that. Still, the conversations behind the scenes did not stop. Some insiders reported that Butler would be open to discussing his future if the team had a solid plan to bring in another star. Others assured that he saw Golden State as his last great chance to win a title and would do whatever it took to ensure that window was not wasted. Giannis, for his part, maintained a focus on the Bucks, but every word he said was scrutinized for subtext. And in all these subtexts, there was one constant: the desire for a competitive environment, a place where his ambition could be met with structure, talent, and direction. The next offseason will be the turning point. The Warriors need to decide whether to go all in on keeping Butler and developing young players like Kuminga and Moody, or whether to make one last bold move to attract Giannis and begin a new era. On the other side, the Bucks will face the pressure of keeping their star happy. If they fail, the risk of losing him to a rival could become a reality. In this context, the role of the Warriors will not be that of mere bystanders. Even without the most valuable assets, the franchise's history and reputation as a winning environment may weigh in the decision of a player like Giannis. This story is far from over. The dance between individual desires and collective goals will continue. What is at stake is not just a title, but the very future of two historic franchises and, perhaps, the redefinition of how power is distributed in the NBA. While the Warriors' front office evaluated different scenarios, something deeper was happening inside the locker room. The team, made up of established veterans and young players still trying to find their place, was going through an emotional transition. Jimmy Butler, despite being a recent addition, became a bridge between these generations. He was the one sitting next to Jonathan Kuminga to review plays. He was the one calling Moses Moody over to talk after practices. And he was the one who, in the most tense moments of the season, held the team together with his presence. Stephen Curry, with his calm leadership, trusted Butler. There was no need for discussions about who would be the main star. Both understood that this was a collective effort, and that success depended on chemistry, not egos. But internally, Curry knew time for another title run was running out. In this context, the idea of bringing Giannis gained new meaning. It wouldn't just be about forming a super team. It would be a way to ensure that what they had built over the past decade didn't end in silence. Giannis, still in his physical prime, would bring youth, energy, and the chance to keep Golden State's winning mentality alive. But everything depended on how the offseason unfolded. While the Warriors were making cautious decisions, other teams were acting quickly. The Spurs, with Victor Wembanyama on the rise, were eyeing a star to accelerate their rebuild. The Rockets, with young players like Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün, were also looking for a veteran figure who could lead the locker room. Both franchises had something the Warriors didn't: valuable assets and flexibility. They could offer enticing packages to the Bucks if Giannis decided not to stay. This put Golden State's front office in a dilemma. The team's identity had always been built on calculated decisions, but time was working against them. Taking a risk was dangerous, not taking one, perhaps even more so. Meanwhile, the situation in Milwaukee remained delicate. The local press began to question the lack of changes. Giannis, increasingly impatient, avoided longer interviews. His brother Thanasis, often seen as a gauge of his mood, started posting on social media suggesting restlessness. And the Bucks' fan base began to fear the inevitable. In the NBA, major moves rarely happen in public. Informal talks, discreet lunches between agents, Zoom calls between executives, everything happens in a parallel universe to what the fans see. And in that universe, the name Golden State kept circulating. Even with Jimmy Butler's signing, the Warriors hadn't completely backed out of the Giannis race. There was a hidden card, a remote possibility being worked on away from the headlines, and it involved a drastic, almost unthinkable reorganization, sacrificing a good portion of the supporting cast, along with a mix of future draft picks and a potential sign-and-trade agreement involving other franchises. A plan that, if approved, would mean giving up depth in exchange for pure power. This strategy, however, required one condition: Giannis's commitment to wanting to join the franchise. Without that, everything would crumble. At the end of the season, during a quiet press conference after the Bucks' elimination, Giannis responded to a question about his future with few words. "I'm here now. Tomorrow? We never know." For many, it was just a way of avoiding the topic. For others, a clear statement that his stay wasn't guaranteed. Inside the Warriors' offices, that phrase echoed like an invitation. The opportunity might not be as impossible as it seemed just a few months ago. It was from this moment that the franchise intensified its behind-the-scenes efforts. They sought partners for possible trades, evaluated scenarios for salary exceptions, and even considered talking to Butler about the possibility of giving up part of his contract or participating in a larger move. It was a complex, almost fantastical plan, but above all, it was possible. Meanwhile, the players stayed focused on the playoffs. The series against the Houston Rockets was far from easy. The young Texas team played with intensity, and the games were being decided in the details. Butler, as always, didn't disappoint. Curry, even physically limited, delivered. And Wiggins, quietly, did the dirty defensive work that few noticed, but which made all the difference. It was this kind of effort that kept hope alive, that even without a new star, this roster still had some gas left in the tank. But at the same time, every hard-fought victory reminded everyone that the margin for error was minimal. The roster was aging, minutes were accumulating, and mental fatigue was starting to weigh heavily. That's why, behind the scenes, the front office needed to act without hesitation. If Giannis didn't come, the Warriors would need an alternative plan, and that plan involved developing their young core. Kuminga, little by little, was gaining more prominence. His athleticism, combined with a constantly improving shot, was making him an increasingly vital piece. Moody, on the other hand, showed tactical maturity and a basketball IQ above average. It was possible to build something new there. A team that, with Butler and Curry as mentors, could transition to a new generation without a complete collapse. But for that, patience would be essential. And perhaps the greatest challenge was precisely that, having patience in a league where everything changes in a matter of weeks. In this scenario, the interest in Giannis wasn't just about winning. It was about avoiding the risk of mediocrity, of stagnation. It was a move to keep the winning culture of San Francisco alive. But would it be worth the cost? The NBA landscape is constantly evolving, and one of the moves that has generated a lot of speculation is the potential arrival of Kai Sotto to the Golden State Warriors for the 2025 season. This rumor has been gaining momentum recently, with reports indicating that the team is in discreet negotiations to secure the signing of the Filipino center, who has been making a name for himself in international leagues. If this transaction goes through, it would not only change the game on the court, but also have a massive impact off the court, especially within the Filipino community, which already feels represented by Sotto in many parts of the world. Standing at 2.18 meters tall, Kai Sotto stands out as an imposing presence on the court, but his influence goes beyond his height. He is a complete athlete, whose skills make him one of the most exciting prospects in the NBA. His combination of height, wingspan, and technical abilities is rare. As a defender, Sotto is an effective shot blocker, using his excellent reaction time and long wingspan to protect the rim. But it's not just his defense that catches attention. His offensive ability, especially his mid-range shooting, sets him apart from many other centers in the league. His versatility on offense makes him a key asset for teams that prioritize modern basketball, which demands diverse skills from its players. Kai Sotto's development didn't happen overnight. Born in the Philippines, a country where basketball is almost a religion, he quickly drew attention due to his natural talent and, most importantly, his dedication. His journey as a player began early, but to reach an international level, he had to venture outside his homeland. This led him to play in the National Basketball League, NBL, in Australia, where he faced a much higher level of competition. His ability to stand out in such a competitive setting solidified him as a cornerstone player for his teams, both offensively and defensively. Kai not only proved his worth but also became an icon of Filipino basketball, showcasing the potential of the nation on the global stage. Kai Sotto's journey continued when he moved to the B League in Japan. There, he had the chance to further develop, facing top-tier opponents while taking the name of the Philippines to new heights. His adaptation to international basketball was remarkable, and his skills as a defender and his ability to represent Filipino culture made him one of the most admired players in the league. Now, with the possibility of joining the NBA, Sotto feels ready to take on the greatest challenge of his career so far, and the team that might help him in this process is the Golden State Warriors, a franchise known for its fast and dynamic style of play. But beyond being an innovative team, The Warriors also have a clear need in their roster: the lack of a dominant presence in the paint. This has been a deficiency that, while the team has overcome it in many seasons with its fast-paced play and three-point shooting, remains an area that could be strengthened. And this is exactly where Kai Sotto fits in. If signed, Kai's impact on the Warriors would be immediate. His ability to grab rebounds, both defensively and offensively, would provide a significant advantage to the team, especially during fast breaks, which are a hallmark of the Warriors' playing style. Additionally, his ability to protect the rim would be a valuable addition to the team's defense. In moments when the team needs a strong presence in the paint, Sotto could be the player capable of making a difference. The Warriors' offense would also benefit from his presence. His ability to shoot mid-range would open up more space for perimeter players, allowing the Golden State team to further explore its fast-paced plays and three-point shooting. Sotto's offensive flexibility is something the Warriors need to continue innovating and remain one of the top forces in the NBA. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. Hit the bell to get the latest news firsthand. Thank you for watching and see you next time.